Hello, I'm Zenj, and this is week 2 of the college mentoring analysis that I'm doing this season as part of the mentor system that we have in the Rookie League. So this is Gucci's Wood Elves against an Orc team, and that's about as much as I know so far. So the Wood Elves are down a wardancer after one dying on the last block of turn 16 last week, so that really hurts. That's just horrific. And that's going to be quite the hill to climb. Loner Wood Elf linemen, and they're not that bad at all though, so see how that works out. Oof, that's a lot of fans. So the Orcs chose to kick, that's probably the right choice for them, as Wood Elves you always want to kick first, I would say. Yeah, he got +2 fame from that amount of fans, which let's hope that doesn't have too much of an impact. And here's the setup. Okay, so what do we do? Well, I almost always try and go for an easy 2-turn if there is a fairly easy one to go for. This is a decent setup, but I feel like you could decide to go down one side here, perhaps by having a player here and here, and blitzing someone to get a 2 dice here. I mean, ideally you'd then want to blitz from this side to make sure that you could push them to here or here. So if there was a lineman here, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the blitz. I don't really like doing GFIs. I don't know if you'd move there for 7. Actually, I guess you'd move there for 7. Assuming there's actually instead another player here. And, I don't know, 1 there perhaps? And then you just slot the wardancer in, and then he'll surround this cage, but you can blitz and leap and score, and it's risky. But I prefer that to any sort of long grinding drive that you'd have against orcs. So a Wood Elf Orc matchup's always a bit brutal. You can't expect to remove any of them, because they're all armor 9. He does have a thrower that's armor 8, and we only really have a wardancer. And I think a catcher somewhere? Here he is. So no skills yet. There was a lineman who got a few passes in, so it'd be nice if they carry on. So I guess otherwise what you do see most players do is load up the line of scrimmage, set up a blitz somewhere which looks like that. Now the orcs set up quite deep for orcs, and black orcs only have a movement of 4 to get into here, which I suppose is fine. This is quite a clever setup really. Like if you're to hang back quite deep yourself, they're not going to do much to you. But you want to have a lot of players in the line of scrimmage to get those blocks in. So on the basis that you don't have any skills other than the wardancer really to block with, I'd perhaps have just left 1 lineman here to mark these up just in case of a blitz, and then really load up the players here or here to go down one side. It's risky, it gets ruined by a perfect defense or a blitz kickoff, but it's my go-to. I don't know if it's something you should always do. So in terms of safe moves first, if the wardancer is going to blitz, and it looks like they are, I would take that first before these blocks that don't have blocks. That probably means these 2 players are here somewhere. Perhaps there and there, because you don't really want them to push you up against the sideline this early on. So perhaps here and here, and then you blitz him with the wardancer, and whatever happens, run away again. Keep him protected, keep a player here to screen him off, and just see what happens. I don't really like the vanity pass early on. I mean, I guess it is more useful than the blocks that you're doing here. But with both of those being well, it's 2+ pickup, 2+ pass, the catch isn't quite as risky. Pretty lucky to get these knockdowns, but the problem's going to be then you probably don't remove these orcs, and he just then moves his black orcs up to base everyone, and then you're kind of in trouble. And then you really struggle to make any progress from there. Perhaps we are setting up a scoring threat from the wardancer here. How far away is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it does need both GFIs. So it's a bit shallow for me. But it's not bad. I mean, if you do give him the ball, he can get this blitz around for a 1 die, if that's what happens. I suppose I've already done this. And he'll almost definitely want to blitz one of these players to base up the wardancer. So this is what you can expect from orcs. They outstrength you, they even have a lot more block than you, and they have armor 9, which is a massive difference over armor 7. So they're quite happy to just base up all your players, even just one-on-one or more like this. And even if you do engineer those blocks, you just get caught up in a scrum, and it's not where Wood Elves want to be. Okay, so for this turn, I would look at the wardancer being the scoring threat. Let's get rid of this. That for me, this player would block this blitzer, and only if it's a knockdown to, I guess, there. Would then hand off to the wardancer, making this a 2+ dodge and 2 GFIs to score. And I think that would be the only actions I'd take. It's kind of horrible, because if it fails, it might be game over. But at the same time, it's probably the most likely set of dice that you can roll to score that you're going to get this half. Unless we somehow set up a cage down here, but with all these opponents here, I just don't think it's viable. So, I mean, I suppose the alternative is the catcher comes and marks this guy. I don't really want to hand off to the wardancer on his base, though. I don't really want that to be a 3+. And blitzing him with a wardancer isn't much better, because he has block 2. Yes, it won't cause turnover, but if you get both down and then you're stuck there, that's a bad place to be. We'll see what happens. That's how I'd approach this. I think it would have just been straight up, do that blitz, then if it's a knockdown, go for the score. If it's not a knockdown, probably just try and disengage, but then you're in an awful position. So I think you'd also need 1 or 2 players elsewhere. Otherwise, this wall of orcs will just keep advancing towards you, and you won't be able to do anything about it. Oh, I didn't see that. That was smart. That's actually a lot better than what I suggested. Because then it works if it's not a knockdown. And I like sending him here for the handoff. Oh, what are we doing? Okay. I think that's about as good as the start could go, seeing as you were put onto a fence first. I mean, the orcs will be happy about this too. They want to do the 2-1 grind where they just cage up the ball and very slowly advance down the pitch and hit as many elves over time as possible. But at the same time, the Wood Elves also want as many turns on defence as possible to try and turn over that ball and basically win the game from that sort of thing. So this setup, if this is the setup, I don't know, now we're just going back for the standard Protect 5. I'm not a fan of this myself, am I? No, not too much. You do see it a lot, and it is the sort of standard advice that's given for a defensive setup. But all that happens is one of these corner players gets blocked, and then he probably just comes and stands in some black orcs here and here to be a problem. I mean, it's fine, but what I think I'd like to see is at least offsetting the line of scrimmage. So it works a lot better with a tree, but if you have your 3 players here or here, it can cause problems for a more inexperienced opponent because they'll load up that part of the line of scrimmage and perhaps leave more of the field exposed in case of a blitz, which can be amazing for downs. If you do have a tree, and say you have 2 players here, then you have the tree here, and then they put more players onto this side to get them locked in because they don't really want to base the tree. And if they do that, that's good. It means they have even less players down this side of the pitch, or they do base the tree, and that's good, and then it's based, or they focus on the tree, and that's the best that you can hope for. But I really like a tree as Wood Elves. We're quite a long way from affording one this team. We need to replace the wardancer, and then definitely get an apothecary next. But for me, then after that, because you've already got 2 rerolls, I think that's enough. Yeah, you probably want 3 eventually, but I'd get the tree as the third purchase. Anyway, so if your line of scrimmage was offset a little bit, you can also offset the defensive setup here, and or not. You can leave it as it is. It does throw a lot of opponents off rather than a more symmetrical, center aligned setup. Guess that's my piece on defensive setups for a second. But otherwise, this is fine. I mean, I do like the chevron defense, though it exposes more players to being hit. But you've only got these 2 to protect in this match. So another one I'd go for is a player here and here. There. And then two apart, there and there. And there and there, and there and there. And the reason for that is it lets me take advantage of a blitz a lot better. If we get a kick basically anywhere that's not here, and you get a blitz event, your positionals, who are probably here and here in the most protected spots, are in a good position to move around and get it, compared to here, where they almost certainly have to take a detour or dodge through the opponents. I hope that makes sense. One more on defensive setups, and if you are using an offset line of scrimmage, which is what I most often use as Wood Elves, I'll have 3 players here, and then I'll actually just have an elf screen of 2 players here in columns, and here, and here, and here, and actually leave this exposed against, and that's only against unagile teams, and then perhaps it means they think, oh, I can move the ball into there and get an early cage and advance quickly. And if they do, then you get to surround them and make it very difficult for them to advance, and you're pushing them against one side of the pitch, which is a good thing to do on defense. Or they ignore it, or it just throws people off quite a bit. So I might talk more about that in the future. Always make sure there's the 1 or 2 tiles from your players to theirs, so you don't get punished too hard by a quick snap. If you do have players just 1 tile away, they can only have a lot, unless you're feeling really greedy, which you can do. If you're feeling really aggressive, you can set up very close. Yeah, that's probably enough on setups for one day. That's kind of a dull kickoff. So I was saying that, assuming he'd set up exactly the same way, and he probably didn't, probably wouldn't do, but if he had, and you had the chevron defense here, you'd really easily be able to just run around here and here in a blitz, compared to now having to sort of cut that corner. Interesting, he's left all the black orcs back here to probably form the cage. Looks like he's taking the threat of the Wood Elf defense seriously. Okay, to not have the armor breaks from the line of scrimmage blocks is always a very nice thing. This is another reason I don't really like it, though. It lets them surround you a little bit and get players into the midst of all your others. Oh, there goes one. To get used to that. So he's using his Black Orcs, all his Black Orcs in the cage corners, which surprises me. As far as I can see why, but the big disadvantage to this is they're only movement 4, so that cage is only going to advance at most 4 tiles. I mean, assuming he uses the same players, which you don't have to do. But this is probably a drive in which screening, rather than going hard in for the ball, could be quite effective. I mean, he does have a secondary screen here of all his blitzers and line orcs, making this difficult. So for this turn, I think I'd look at running just 1 or 2 of these linemen around to here. Stop this, just moving this way at all, just to be back here and give him something to think about. Let him worry about the back of the cage as well as the front of it. And I guess you have to just blitz this guy. Slot somebody in here. There would be very nice. If you get someone there, he basically has to blitz that player. The loner is ideal for that, so if somebody else comes provides the assist, the wardancer blitzes him out the way, and then this loner can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or do a dodge or GFI. Get that would be nice. I think I would also risk this player doing a 3+2+ dodge into there, just to separate his cage from the rest of his team and see how he deals with that, because normally he'll then go too aggressive, base too much, just leave himself too much out of position. When it's their first turn on an offense, they know what they're doing and they'll cage up quite very well if they're playing sensibly, and I don't do that, but if you play sensibly, you cage up, you blitz, you surround the opponents, you're always in a very good position on offense on your first turn, as long as it's not a blitz. So your first turn on defense, I think, should be about just getting into space, not basing him up this time, let him come to you and pull himself out of position. That's basically it. I think it's this, which is very nice. It's just spreading players around and being annoying, basically. Now, because you did this blitz, we didn't need to take that dodge first. But also because we're doing this blitz, if this isn't a knockdown, which it is, but if it's not, you have to then base this player, which would be a bit of a shame. So I don't like that quite so much. I suppose you knew this was the player you wanted to blitz, so I'd be thinking about when you blitz and what direction it's from, where they're going to go, and you're always playing for this not being a knockdown, just to push, or even above down, but you can't plan for that as much. But on a push, where they're going to go. So it would be a bit of a shame if that was a push and then it gets a free block here against the loader. Yeah. Now this is protecting the wardancer, which I like. I do think he should have stayed over this side. I think we're relying now on these dodges working. Because if any of these fail, I would not re-roll it this early. But if any of these fail, he's then just got all this space to go here. And I think we have too many players towards the sideline. So unless you have a lot of sidestep or stand firm, the sideline's a bit of a trap. It's where you want to push your opponents to. But we made that one, so that's good. I would actually dodge the standing player first, because if any of these dodges fail, he's definitely getting knocked down. Whereas a team like this, or a team at such low value, probably isn't going to foul you at this point. So we're kind of setting up an elf screen here. I don't think you needed the full elf screen. I think this last player could have just stood here. Doesn't make too much difference if he's here, if he goes for him. Except if he was here and he only got a push, that makes it more awkward for his advance. Does that speak for itself? Because if he's here, he's only one player. If he is here and he gets a push, he's staying here. Where if he's here and he gets a push, he can go from the other direction and push him this way. I guess it doesn't matter too much in total. Now he's playing this pretty smart, but this is what I was talking about, that if you just move into space, they'll generally come and base you. And slightly ruin the good formation they had, but this is a very good cage. And a whole bunch of players, this is a very strong cage, but quite hard to break. I mean, you can do it, you could just leap in there. That makes it difficult though. Okay, that's smart. Okay, so I guess part of screening is maximizing blocks. I think I might have moved this player here to get this block here and just tried to push them back. And the same from here. Move this player around, block with the wardancer to push him there. Does leave the wardancer somewhat exposed, but if his player's either side, he's not getting a 2 dice unless he uses a black orc, which he probably won't do. Probably use a blitzer. I think they'd be the blocks. Maybe I'd blitz this player into this here, and then keep moving down, and then you're screened. You've got an L screen, but you've not fallen back. That's what we're looking for here. At some point, you might want to start thinking about basing just his cage. One of his advantages of using Black Orcs is he just gets a 2-die block on you straight away, but it does keep them there, sort of no matter what. So it's probably too early yet, but when they do want to advance, maybe that's the time that 1 or 2 of these players comes in and just marks the cage corners and makes that difficult to move up. But just have his full team. Oh, are we going in for the ball? I don't really like that lower dodge first. If we're going to take a block here, that's a 1 in 9 failure compared to this 1 in 6. So, always should be thinking about the odds. And I think this one's more key than that one. And these are very tiny micro improvements almost that you could be thinking about. And pushing him to base both your players wasn't so bad either, actually. Looks like we're going to leap into the ball, which I guess it'd be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess that's fine, except if you are doing that and it's a block from here, and you do get a knockdown, it's going down here, but then who's going to get it? Only if it scatters out to here from this Black Orc not catching it. Could this catcher potentially get it? But otherwise, it's just not a great... it's just not a good time to go in for the ball, really. Mostly just about that recovery, especially with this player having moved. If he was still there, maybe, but even then, it's a very strong cage with a lot of players around it, and it's too soon. This is more likely to fail than not fail, even if it works. Your wardancer's just going to be stood in there, and he is going to end up on the floor from this many 2 dice blocks that's going to happen to him. So perhaps that's the key thing in this match. We'll see. And the leap always fails, so you have to re-roll it. The leap always fails, then works, then you roll a skull, is how these tend to go. Yes, that's exactly how it goes. Every time. I don't think... Would I have used the apothecary? Did we have an apothecary? Oh, that's probably the inducement. So... a misnight's game is one of the worst. It feels like one of the worst injuries to use an apothecary on because it can fail, it works that time. But it's the 50% to not make a change. You know, you have to roll a 1 to 3 for it to be badly hurt. On an apothecary, it means it's no casualty. A 4's a misnight's game, a 5's a serious injury, and a 6 is dead. So, yeah, you almost definitely want to use it on a serious injury or a death on a wardancer. In a misnight's game, you do if you really need to win the match. I hate them playing the rest of the match without an apothecary because people are going to die. And especially if it works and he comes back and he comes on the pitch. Because as soon as he's back on the pitch, he should be trying to knock him down and fail him. So, yeah, this is probably the match done now, unfortunately. But my key lesson, I suppose, from all this was that I think that was definitely too soon, or at least it was the wrong position, the pitch position, to go in for the ball. Because, yeah, like I say, best case scenario is the wardancer ends up here standing with the thrower on the floor and the ball's in one of these squares. And if it goes here and they don't catch it, they might catch it. And if it goes here and they don't catch it, it scatters out. It goes here, which would be impossible to get. Your best hope is it goes here and this player can get it and somewhat run away. If this player gets it, and by some miracle you haven't used the reroll, I think I would actually try the. I think I'd just run up here and try the pass, but it's very long odds. And I suppose the real key to this is you've only got the one wardancer, so he's gone. That feels like half a team that's gone now. It makes it very hard to break this cage. Instead, you're probably going to have to rely on a dodge cage dive. You don't want to do that with a catcher, which is real player with dodge, because it would be an uphill onto 3 dice, and it's just too unlikely, unless he has a wrestle or something. Whew. So, like I was saying at the start of this, I think I would have just taken these blocks and just tried to hold the cage here for a turn or so. See how that goes. See, that's smart. He's using the Blitzer rather than the Black Orc, so we're staying there in case he gets both down, which he did. So we didn't have to use a reroll. Block's a really good skill. It always seems to be the case that you do a leaping second of all, the leap always fails the first time, works the reroll, then you roll a 1 dice skull. It always happens. So perhaps that should be your thinking of when this goes wrong, because it will, and the wardancer probably gets removed. What am I left with? And early in the drive, you don't want that if it's late in the drive, and you don't really have many other options to stop the score at that point. So that's when you do it. But also generally, if you're just stalling and pushing them back, they'll be more out of position later in the drive, and they'll be more desperate, especially a very slow cage like this is. Like if we can screen up here, if we can get these players here perhaps, this is very tough, but if we can do it, I mean, we've got about the minimum players needed to do this now. These two would have to screen. In fact, I think I'd even make it so it's not a good elf screen. I think I'd put a player here and one here, and these are the two here. I have to take this block and run someone around here. Probably even bring the catcher back at this point because you just don't have enough players. But if you can tempt him into going for the sideline, you might be able to make something of that. Especially with bigger Lona too, it's a bit more sacrificial. So that was interesting. You nearly did that because actually I suppose this is fine if you got all these players out. The blitz is ideal there. That's really nice. This is a perfect screen. Now he comes in here. He comes in there. And with the catcher here, that seals it up. The real thing is this cage is going to be very slow if he's going to rely on using Black Orcs. So yeah, I think bringing him around is the right choice at this time too. Would you have this guy? He'll stand up, so let's see how this goes. It's not... If this happens again, it's not all lost yet. So it is possible for him to run through this gap now. I think, yeah. Still, throughout, it's been playing very smart, which is what you want. You want to be up against good opponents rather than those who don't know what they're doing. So this is what he should be doing. Is moving back into the centre of the pitch, especially against diminished numbers. It's almost impossible to stop it from here, really. But if we could have somehow tempted him to go this way, perhaps even not screening there, perhaps moving this across more, just leaving a gap to entice him into, then you just got a little bit more to work with. And it's not a lot, but you probably need it. I don't think you needed to go there. I mean, you can take this block. I think I could have even re-rolled that block if that didn't work. But you can take this block, and if you can get this player out to here, and maybe the catcher here, and then just dodge this one out, and dodge him somewhere. It does slow him down, and he only does have the 3 turns, and it's not that far to go, but if he just rolls his pushes for a turn, maybe it'd be enough. No, I'm not sure about this. Oh, we're still got the blitz. Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, you always need to think about what's going to happen if this is a push. Might even just have not blitzed at all that turn. He needs more players here. He needs at least 2 players there. So I think I'd use that reroll. That was always going to be a 3+. But I think on that turn, the key mistake there really was setting up this 2-die blitz and moving away. It's just that bit out of position rather than having them round here. I mean, ideally you'd have this guy free too. Perhaps if anywhere that was the blitz that you would maybe bring the catcher here or here and blitz and then dodge out if you can do that, but oh well. Yeah, it turns out lock's a really good skill to have. Again. If we just had this back for 1 turn more, I think he would have found it very difficult to score actually, because Orc Throw is pretty slow. Their movement 5, his Black Orcs are 4. He needs to advance next turn to be in scoring range. But only a little bit. So perhaps the best you can hope for is he comes here, someone blitzes the blitzer back a little bit, and you just have to hope all these dodges work, and try and stop him going forwards. It's all about that throw now, really. Well, I don't think I'd have followed up there. Got these 2 players here. He's probably not coming this way. And stayed there, dodged here, and even if that dodge fails then, with these players here and here, he can't move through you. Well, unless he removes himself, of course. So yeah, just looking at the screen. Oh, I definitely would have dodged out as well. Particularly against a Black Orc, and we're leaving him a little push play set up here as well. So perhaps the blitz sack attempt wasn't the biggest thing. Perhaps it's this actually. Could have just sealed up this this screen just a little bit better. Might have had something. It's difficult though when you just keep rolling 1s on those dodges. And this is probably the one to do first as well. No, it's going for a foul. Okay, I forgot. Have a slightly loose cage. So, this player can do a 2 plus, 4 plus, and if this player's smart, he can get a 1 die on the ball there. So, on turn 8 here, I'd be looking for the whatever odds cage dive you can get to try and get the ball down and cause problems. And that looks like that would be... what's the best way of doing this? Rather than using the catcher there, I think I'd take the 2 die block here, move this player around to there. Don't think I'd bother standing him up, because maybe I would. It's the people who block that you want to watch out for. But maybe I'd stand him up, maybe not. Then take the 2 plus and do the cage dive, even if it was from this side and it was a 5 plus. It's worth taking to get a 1 die on the ball. So it's basically a 5 plus to get him down. 4 plus actually if you counter, they're both down. It's not bad. It's not bad. I always want to think about the old school cage dive compared to the fancy wardancer leap. Particularly with the dodge skill. So 5 plus with the dodge skills at 55% chance to get in there. It's pretty good. We're just going to mark the ball instead, if this works. But it's not. It's just not enough, in my opinion. He easily gets 2 die block here. He's got to reroll. It would take a quad skulls to stop him from causing a problem. You got more players, but if he's smart, he just blitzes from this direction, pushes them both out. Or actually, if he's very smart, he slots players into here and here, probably takes the block with the black orc then, and then can push the other one out, and if it's not a knockdown, then use the blitz. But I guess other than going for the cage dive, this is about as much as you could do. Yeah, we needed that from a player who didn't have block. Oh, he is going for that. I'm not sure if this guy is a rookie. And you do have to get used to dead players as wood elves. It's been a little bit silly, because now he has to make 2 go for it, even though he's 4 tiles away from the end zone. Not sure why he's moving his players in, because it's the last turn 8. Unless he does a foul, that's ridiculous. Okay, don't ever do this. If you're in scoring range, I mean, that's going to break armor. So, it's a 1 in 6 twice. He's basically adding 2 pluses to his dice that he has to roll, that he doesn't get to re-roll, as well as the 2 go for it he has to make to score here. And it's just alignment. If it was a wardancer, even then I don't think you should foul if you can score. If you can't score, fine, go for it, but I'm going to assume he doesn't get punished for this and scores. They should have done, if there's any justice. And there is no justice in Blood Bowl. Does he have to do two go for it? So on the whole, he played very well. I think it was a mistake. I think it was very greedy to take that foul, and it should have cost him a score, which would have been nice. He had to make 1 go for it because he blocked himself off, which wasn't great either. This is a tricky setup to determine, like, what do you do with your players here? I guess whatever you protect the wardancer. Like that, that'll do. Something like that. That doesn't really, because now he almost certainly just gets to keep pushing these players out the way or knock them down. And then can just slot his Black Orcs into here, cause problems. So this is even worse than the normal Protect 5, really, without the player in the centre. To protect him there, perhaps you'd put this lineman here. And all the other reasons I went over before, so I won't go into them again. But the biggest to me is if you are lucky enough to get a blitz, it's very difficult to take advantage of it with your positionals here, compared to further to the side. No, it's playing very conservatively. It's really annoying whenever they seem to only roll both downs when they're using the block players. It does happen. He's got too many players in the centre here. I think he's going to go for more fouls. I think he's being way too greedy. Yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, this is a mistake. This is a huge mistake. Because you just run around him now. I mean, I'm assuming he doesn't get sent off, and he gets to move his Black Orcs. But that cage, that runner even, is not moving far. It's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he's staying there. So your goal for the next turn, thanks to him putting half his team in the middle of the pitch, is to run around it and screen off his team from the ball and see how that goes. Oh yeah, he shouldn't be doing this. So, can we hit that Black Orc on the way? Can he go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Can he get around? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I would. I think I'd move there over go for it actually. And then blitz the wardancer. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Catch him somewhere. Run the catch around to about here. Then try and dodge these guys around. Potentially even mark his players who don't have block. Bit like this. Oh. Oh. Okay, it's not your game. The one time you dodge the dodge skill. Ah, it snakes. And it happens. That's really upsetting. Yeah, nothing wrong with trying to take that there. Yeah, that was awful. Okay, now I'd actually be thinking of marking the Black Orcs at the front. He seems really keen on using his Black Orcs, the cage corners. I don't know why. If you mark somebody at the back, he's just going to block and use a different player instead of as a cage corner. But if we mark one of the Black Orcs at the front, all of them are not moving very far. So that could be interesting. I mean, if we even get the opportunity, because everyone's on the floor, or is about to be. I'm amazed you rerolled that too. Pretty greedy. I suppose you'd have 4 rerolls. Okay, what do we do? I think this player comes and stands here. Then what do we do? Maybe this guy stands up so he can blitz him and get up in there. I think then I actually do the 3+. with the wardancer, because that's a 1 in 9 to fail compared to any of these 2+ dodges. I think the wardancer just goes there, there, and then runs up here. And then this guy comes and marks this cage corner. And yes, you're just throwing men at the ball at that point, but if we stop him moving the cage at all, that'd be quite nice. So I don't think that's what's going to happen here. And getting the wardancer free by using 2 die blitz is quite nice. But this is actually a very vulnerable cage in a sense, because his entire team's here, and so's yours. And it's very slow compared to most teams. If we could just get up in its grill, I think we might be able to get something out of it. Especially because they don't have block as well, and if they do start taking those blocks, maybe something works out. Okay, him being there is quite nice. I think... What would I do? I think I might dodge him. Might dodge him out to there. Mark him up, because he's going to be quite important this turn, actually. And then try dodging through there to here somewhere. Because just one player is not going to slow down, but 2 would do. That's nice, that helps. Oh, that's very nice. Okay, what's he going to do with this? So actually, appering the wardancer, having 2 rerolls in hand, this game is not done at all yet. Okay, if I'm feeling kind of brave. Oh, I might go for the bull this turn. It's quite a tricky call. I think first I take this block here, use this loner in here, block him away. If I'm feeling pretty brave, then do a 1-die block here, perhaps. But I'm considering doing the wardancer 4+ dodge to go there, then out, and then leap to there, and see if we can push this ball back or get it down. But it's not going to work, is it? Oh no. Doesn't even matter, it was a 3+, it was snakes again. Well, there's not much you can do when that happens. Still, as I said. So I hope overall in these videos, what I'm saying gives you some ideas at least, and of how to approach it a little bit differently, or what to think about differently. But with your first action being snakes, it's just going to ruin the whole drive. So I won't feel too badly about how the rest of this goes. Particularly if it's the wardancer and he's stunned after that. It's basically your team out now. We just need some more of those on players who didn't have block before. Okay, there's a very obvious route into the cage there. I think I would just stand him up, and I think I'd be looking at this player to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and hit the ball if we get one of these 2 to mark this. So I think that's quite a big mistake he's left there by both not fouling the wardancer, just not having more players in the way. I think I'd take this block first, move someone up to here, maybe covering both of them. Just stand the catcher up, and then I'd be using the reroll on this. This player would be coming in and getting the 1 die. And if we get it, we kind of hope that this guy can dodge out and get it. It's definitely on. I suppose we're not going for it this time. But yeah, it was an easy blitz on the ball there, which is something to look out for. And I suppose the other side of it, oh no, what we're doing? Oh, why are we giving the pitch up to them? I suppose the big thing I'd take from this is to not be too afraid of the 3+ dodges. Yes, you've rolled snakes twice in 3 turns with your first dodge, which is horrible. But I won't be scared of this 3+ dodge here. To then get into here and get that dice on the wall. That would have been nice. Oh, I don't like this. He should get surf now. If it was to save that player, I think it's just sacrifice this player instead. Let's just blocks him in here. He takes block here, and then someone just runs in and pushes him off. And most of all, as you can tell from the noise I made when it happened, I just didn't like giving up the pitch at this point. It's still a very slow cage. It's still 1-1. Can go either way. But for me, even though we're down the apothecary, we're not being aggressive enough. At least with the lineman. The wardancer, you don't want him to die. Neither the catcher. But the linemen are basically disposable. Whoops. Just look how slow this cage is moving. Oh, what's going on here? So it's not worked yet, but I would be going for the leaping sack. Not sure which direction from though. Not this way, and not this way. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not this turn. um, hmm. So I was going to say you probably want to leap in here, try and push it out here, see how it goes. Um, hmm. And then it's either a choice of do you go hard for the ball now, or do you just try and preserve your team and maybe go for a maybe even just a dodge cage dive on turn 15 or so. Oh, actually. Hmm. No. I was wondering if we could blitz this player and have one of our own players here to actually push your loner into the cage, which would be nice. I think I'd go for that, just because none of them have block. And yeah, he's just going to push him away. But then, if he's blocking with these guys, they're not going to form up the rest of the cage. So actually, he's this Black Orc's out of the game for a bit. I think this might be the turn that I'd actually base the cage quite hard and just see if you can get him out of position by doing that. But it would have been really nice to dodge him out to there. It's probably too far. 6, 7. It's probably too far unless we use the catcher. And I won't mind doing the catcher, although it's probably giving up a free die. It's him. But I would like the push play to push him into the cage, which is something to look out for in the future, especially once you have some wardancers or other players with sidestep. If you get into a bit of a scrum, every so often you can find a place to use sidestep to just step into the cage and still have your blitz to be able to blitz the ball, which would be very nice. Well, why not go this way? Once he was out there, I think I would have just left him there. Maybe. Yeah, no, I guess it doesn't matter. But there actually screens off. This guy's just scoring threat now. I think first action is he just runs up here somewhere, just in case we can get the ball free at any point. Was the wardancer still stunned then? Can't remember. So the wardancer's out of range for now, but he doesn't want to score on his next turn, because you've got a good chance of doing a 2-turn score. So, what do we do? We've got 2 rerolls. If he can get the ball down, he'll probably panic a little bit. Yeah, I don't think he needs to move around. I think I'd let him there and go for the cage dive this way, with the 5+ dodge in there, and hit the ball because you have this guy marked them already. If we can get the carrier down here and get the ball out here, we might be able to do something actually. That would have been nice. But first, I would definitely just move the wardancer up, ready to be a threat for turn 15. Oh. Oh, no. So, most people think it's too much of a risk to go for the cage dive. If you ever play lizards, you'll find the 5+ dodge is something you take quite a lot. But I'd be thinking about that rather than just blitzing off a corner. Mostly because we down so many players and because we don't really have the skills to be a problem. If you had block, especially if you had sidestep or stand firm, probably sidestep on a playoff team, it could be a real problem for this ball to move again. But this is okay. I mean, he's got so many players free here. They probably doesn't do anything. For me, that might be the turn where I actually leave a lot of players based up, maybe just one-on-one, and it really locks his team down rather than giving him the freedom to just move the rest of his team wherever he wants before he takes these blocks. It's not so much just about bothering the ball, but limiting his options of what he has left to do it with. Because yeah, once he can get 2 die blocks with a player of block on these guys, it's not an issue at all. He's so close to the end zone. He doesn't actually care if he advances or not. Oh dear. Well, at least they're both just rookies. Yeah, that's fine. Oh? Hmm. 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 Not seen that before. So, you could leap into here or here if these players marked up, and if you do get the ball down, you can get to push this player onto here, and there's a very unlikely scenario in which it scatters onto him. He doesn't catch it, it goes out, and you don't lose. That'd be nice. More likely, it scatters onto him and he catches it. And he gets a touchdown, and then it's your turn 16. There's not much you can do, apart from try the 1 turn. But at this point, compared to all the others, I think this is the time you go for self-preservation. Rather than trying anything fancy. Although self-preservation could just be forcing him to score by pushing the ball into the end zone. Actually, you know what? You don't want to leave there, because... Actually, did we use dodge? We did use dodge. Okay, if we hadn't used dodge, maybe you dodge in instead. like I say, the first time you leap, often the second time it always fails. I always say leap's got about a 70% chance to fail. That's how it feels. The good news is that he should not foul you again. But he fouled you on the last turn last time, so why not this time? Anyway, you've got a catcher, a wood elf catcher. It's the best natural one-turner in the game. With no skills. Let's see how he sets up. Okay, it's giving you quite a about as easy as a chance to one-turn touchdown you'll ever get. What you want to do is push this orc into here, have the catcher here, have a player here, have a player here, and end up filling in the spots with some other players. Because we want to be pushed this way and run down the sideline to make that a 3+, 3+, 2+, otherwise it's like a 4+ elsewhere. If you want to really style this out, you can set up hoping for a quick step. Does that work? Yeah, you set up for a quick step and you move into here, fill in players here and here, and block this guy from there, pushing the catcher there, which means it would then be in range, but you'd still have the blitz, which would be amazing, because then you could blitz one of these guys out of the way, and that would really style style your opponent out for one turn. But I don't know if we're going to go for it or not, but this is absolutely the time you try a one-turn touchdown. So let's see how that goes. I mean, it's very tricky with so few players. How many have we got out? 4, so we got 7 left. Yeah, it's a tough call. But it looks okay. Better getting a bribe now than before. It's a good kick for it. I would. Do we? No, don't have any rerolls left. If you had a reroll, yes, you'd reroll it, but we don't. So that's a shame. But we went for the one turn. It looked good to me. So what I was saying, I think, was worse. Yeah, because you'd be pushing him this way. It could just run up there. So it could have worked out. Well, that's the game. So, yeah, I think we could easily spot the major things for that game. There was the very early sack attempt, more about the positioning of his players. Really solid wall of orcs around the ball, and so from the direction that we could try the sack, even if it worked, there wasn't much of a recovery. There was the fact that for some reason he was using black orcs on his cage, has no benefit at all other than making it more difficult for you to blitz a corner off. They're so much slower that's the weakness to try and exploit. I think overall it was just not aggressive enough. That it's tricky. It's tricky when you've used your Apo early. Maybe I would actually play the whole game to try and preserve the team at that point, not expecting to win anymore. But then using the Apo on the miss next game, wardancer early on. I suppose you would Apo it. I've just realised you would use the apothecary on the miss next game because you'd have 0 wardancers next week, and that would be just a nightmare. So actually, I can't complain about the Apo anymore. 1 armor breaks, 15 armor breaks is pretty harsh, especially to take 2 deaths. I wouldn't worry too much about the deaths, just on linemen. That happens. The dodges look sort of okay, but we had those 2 snakes very close to each other, and that just destroys a drive. So the armor success is how successful your armor was at not being broken. So that's not a good number. That should be like 55% at least on average. So that was quite poor. Yeah, not much else to say. So instead of going more over it or going over extra things, there was just those key takeaways, I think, in that game, and the general sort of when to go for the ball, when to bother the cage, when to screen. I think I gave some decent advice on some of it, but there was a couple of times when I said something and actually what was done was a lot better than what I suggested. So what do I know? Okay, until next week then.